was born out of moonshining.
The real good racers, a lot of them had been in the moonshine business, and that's what I was in before I got in.
The bootleggers had the high-powered cars, and they wanted to see who had the best car, so...
They'd gather on a Sunday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, and race their cars essentially out in fields.
They all were crazy. None of them had any sense.
Junior Johnson is regarded as one of the first and the last of a dying breed of select few known as moonshiners. Although moonshining and moonrunning are still ever present in America today, mainly in the Appalachian regions of the country, Johnson took his driving skills and legally made a living of driving fast cars. By the time he was 9, Johnson could wheel a souped-up car around the back roads of Wilkes County, North Carolina.
Just over to shovel some coke up and stick it in the burner. I heard something right behind me. I looked over my shoulder, and there's a guy standing on top of a box just fixing to jump on the back of my back, you know. So instead of throwing the coke in the burner, I just threw it, come back over my shoulder like that and hit him in the face with it and all that stuff.
With revenuers hot on his tail, Johnson and fellow moonshiners had to stay a step ahead of the law. They tricked out their cars by removing any unnecessary weight in the paneling, the interior, and the body. They added stiffer springs and shocks to make the cars look as natural as a car would without it being weighed down with gallons of illegal booze. The heavier shocks also helped on the dirt roads, making the cars fly down the hollers and up the hills.
He was an old-time cowboy, don't you understand? His eyes were sharp as razor blades, his face was...
Other forms of racing, such as Indy cars, were seen to be a rich man's sport. Those who had money found ranks in Indianapolis, while the Southern men stuck to the stock car racing. Just as any man does, the drive for competition leads to organized racing. Men had a machismo that stated, "I can drive my car better than you can," and thus, auto racing in America began a new chapter, and the stock car auto racing world flourished in the South.
No stranger to trouble. He grew up making moonshine in the hills with his family.
That's the only way they had to really survive, and it was either you make whiskey or you go hungry.
So instead of running moonshine to make ends meet, Johnson began racing stock cars, and boy was he ever good at it.
Out having some fun, going head to head on a midnight run. A stock car, a man racing for his life. It all started with a batch of Carolina moonshine.
He raced and won the Daytona 500, the most prestigious stock car race in the country. After his driving days were finished, Johnson took a new role as a car owner. Johnson was a successful car owner with numerous drivers, such as Bill Elliott, the late Neil Bonnet, Cale Yarborough, and Kentucky's own Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip and Yarborough won 3 NASCAR championships apiece under Junior Johnson.
It all started with a batch of Carolina moonshine.
In 2010, NASCAR opens its doors to a new Hall of Fame in Charlotte, North Carolina. The Hall of Fame's inaugural class consisted of legends of the sport. Dale Earnhardt, Bill France Sr., and his son, Bill France Jr., Richard Petty, and Junior Johnson were among the first 5 inductees. In 2012, 2 of Johnson's drivers, Cale Yarborough and Darrell Waltrip, were also inducted. Today, Junior Johnson is still holding down his family roots of making ends meet during the Great Depression years. Johnson still makes white lightning in North Carolina, only now it's 100% legal. He's even stayed in the sport as an associate sponsor for Baldwin Racing.
These days, you can get legal shine. This stuff, Junior Johnson's Midnight Moon, is made by Piedmont Distillers of Madison, North Carolina. Shine tastes like tradition.
All right, down. Woo!
Was that a good haul or a bad?
Junior Johnson will always be remembered as the last American hero for being a good old boy. Raising hell, racing cars, and run and shine all add to the legendary status of the one, Robert Glenn Johnson, better known as Junior Johnson.